It's been a little over a year since this MPC X SE was released, and now when all the excitement on the internet has settled down, we can take a clear-headed look at what this device really is. Although, how could you discuss this greatest device without emotions? Because this is the MPC X SE finally at my studio. Wow! The MPC X SE is a fully standalone workstation. You do not have to attach it to a computer or anything else. On the contrary, you connect everything that you have in the studio to this MPC. This is the heart of any production. And this is a truly standalone DAW-less device because you can create your project from scratch till mixing and mastering and finished track, all within inside this box. Let's take a look at the connections because you have everything. Headphone and pedals jacks, microphone inputs, CV gates for modular synths, MIDI and USB for connecting synths and other storage, 8 outputs to record multi-track to your DAW, for example, or process the sound through external outboard gear, and of course phono preamp for sampling from vinyl. Personally, for me, one of the key features right here is the separate volume control. Right here you have main volume, and down there you have separate headphone volume adjustment. This is very crucial for me because when I record the videos, maybe this is not important for you, but for me it's very important. When I record the videos, I can easily lower down the volume from here to the monitors, but instead of the monitors I use the camera or the recorder, and I want to keep my recording level into the camera rather low. Although I want to hear the track very loudly on the headphones. And on my Live 2 this is not very convenient because there is just one knob to control the volume, so I have to adapt to the system, use some headphone amplifiers and so on and so forth. Here it's extremely convenient. MPC X SE isn't drastically different from the original MPC X, which was released in 2017, but there are some key differences. 4 GB of RAM instead of 2, and 48 GB of internal storage. However, I do not recommend using the internal storage for projects and samples, since you can't directly access it. It's better to use it maybe for installing plugins and synths to save space on your SD card. For example, Fabric XL alone takes up 3.5 GB or something, so it's quite substantial. Speaking of Fabric XL, now it's extremely convenient and fast to change the presets on it, because on MPC 1, on MPC 2, which have 2 GB of RAM, here it's 4, and when you change the presets, it doesn't take you ages, because on MPC Live and 2, you switch the preset and then you wait, and then suddenly it starts playing. You go to next preset, and again, you wait, and it takes you time. Here it happens in an instant. You open up a preset, you don't like it, switch it to the next, listen, you don't like it, switch to next, and it takes you seconds, as if you were switching presets and OPX4 or Hype or other not substantial synthesizers that are built in. Although there are still limitations to 8 synthesizers that you can load and 8 audio tracks when working standalone. Okay, rules accepted. And of course, let's not forget about these incredible 16 Q-links. Of course, I always say that 4 Q-links on Live 2 is very enough for me, because this is my workflow. But when you have these 16 Q-links with beautiful OLED screens, you can easily change, for example, time division or swing or playhead or everything, and you can see this. I think that when MPC Live 3 comes out, I really hope that they may keep the 4 Q-links, but I really hope that they add these 4 little OLED displays so that you can see what you are doing. This is very, very helpful. On MPC, on Akai 4s, they also have these little screens. This is so helpful. Please, Akai, can you make some small OLED screens on the next generation Live and 1? I want this really much, and other fans of MPCs, I think, too. I don't know what else to say about this wonderful device, because you know MPC 1, you know MPC Live, you know MPC X from 2017. This is basically the same model, same workflow, although with the new update 3.0, the operation system, the workflow changed drastically, but it is the same all over other devices. It's the MPC united system all over the models. It's just bigger screen, beefier, gigabytes of RAM, and that's it. Like more inputs and outputs, different layout, different buttons, but it's the same MPC across different models. I think we should start making our first project on this device. Let me show you how. Alright, so let's start with a melodic sample first. Let's go to sample, edit, and right here we have the whole sample, but I chopped it up. It sounds incredibly nice, and there are different parts of the track, like right here we have this very cool sounding trumpet. Then this is the verse. I think of it as a future verse, and if you listen to it attentively enough, There is some remaining vocal in the background because I used stem separation, and recently I've been using stem separation a lot because I really like it, especially on how it works on MPC and Logic. My favorite way to separate stems is Logic right now because I work with Logic and with MPC, but sometimes I do it on the fly, so to say, when I have MPC X SE or Live or anything. Basically, stem separation works everywhere perfectly fine. You go to process, you go to the last section, which is create stems. This is stem separation. Yeah, but I already separated the stems. I removed the drums, the vocals. And I have this dirty sounding verse. I like this dirt in the track, and I think it will even make our track more interesting, more grimy, with more texture, more details. At least I will try using these parts. Anyway, once you chop up the sample, you press Shift, Convert, a new drum program using slices, non-destructive slice. This is the best option, so you press Do It. After you chop the sample, you go right here into drum programs and select, yeah, this is my program that I chopped. Probably I will use 4 bars, usually it's 4 bars for default settings, maybe 91 BPM. I'm going to program edit. Okay, something like this, but first, before recording the melody, I will go to track 4. Yeah, so it's going to be definitely chorus. Track 4 is going to be my drums. Why track 4? I'll tell you a bit later, but first of all, we go to sample edit again. We find our drum. This is a drum break. Of course, I need to chop this up as well, because I will use these chops as I want. I will rearrange this drum break. Again, I'm pressing Shift, Convert, new drum program using slices, non-destructive slice. This is the go-to way to chop your samples. Do it. Again, right here on track 4, I select my program with drums. And then please check that in the program edit, usually by default, it puts it in mono after chopping. But I'm going to use it as separate one shot, so I want to use polyphonic. So I will play all of these samples simultaneously, hat with kick, hat with snare. I also have this sample, this chimes, to spice it up, make it even more grimy. And this open hi-hat. And again, my favorite trick with open hi-hats, I always do this. Open hi-hat should be limited, should be muted by something next, either by closed hi-hat or by snare. In my case, this is the snare, so I say that pad 2, mute target 9. Because otherwise, if I switch it off, I'm ready to go. Yep, something like this. Maybe a bit later I will do some tweaking again with the drums, but this is a rough sketch which I'm satisfied with. When I say that MPCs is a real production center, a standalone production center, I really mean this, because if we go to channel mixer, we go to our programs, this is our drums, and it already has the compression on it, so without compression. It's not a lot happening because the original drum break is already beefy, but as you can see right here, I just add some minor touches to it. And oh my god, once again, I absolutely love these little OLED screens because I already see, like, this is release, this is attack. I don't need to look at 2 places. Of course, on MPC Live, which I have as my main device, it's right here next to the screen, but on MPC X it really helps a lot. Right here we have as well Flavor Pro, and you can add effects not only to the channel, to the track, but you can also go to Pad Mixer. And as you see, you can add even more effects to every individual sample, to every individual pad. So in theory, 8 banks multiplied by 16, 128. You can, for example, choose your snare and add parametric EQ, cut out some high frequencies, for example, to make it more lo-fi, or add reverb or something like this. By the way, with reverb, 2 ways. For example, spring reverb, and you make mix very little. So you can put reverb on the sample, or the second way is you go to channel mixer, you go not to progress but returns. On first return you put again this spring reverb, for example, or just reverb. Make sure you put it at 100%. So this is like a bus if we talk about regular DAWs. This is a bus, and when we go to, for example, our tracks, we go to send, and now we can apply reverb from this bus to the whole channel. Or to individual sounds, if you go to pad mixer, for example, to snare only. Or for example, to snare to this hi-hat and this hi-hat. But not to kick and other sounds. In this case scenario, I will not use any reverb, maybe later. Yeah, but I showed you just for the demonstration purposes that it works perfectly fine. And then again, you have your submixes, we'll talk about that later, and main outputs, like this is main channel, main output channel. Again, you can put limiter. For example, right here we have a limiter or maximizer, for example, which works as a limiter right here in MPC. An actual limiter. There is soft clip limiting, the new paid version plugin, but for now I'm just going to leave it blank. Let's return where we stopped, and I'm going to record the melody. That sounds awesome. I think this is one of my favorite beats that I'm making this month. Copy this to the second track and say that this is chorus 2, do it. And then track mute, I switch off track number 2, go to 2, and I think I will change something in the end. So I'm choosing this, cut. Usually on MPC 1, on MPC Live, we double tap main and we go to grid. But here, double tapping main means you go to track. And if you look at the faceplate, there is no sign which says grid. However, if you press Shift Pad Perform or just double press Pad Perform, you will go to grid. I don't know why they didn't put the label right here, grid, especially on the newer version, this MPC X SE, but okay, this is a hidden feature. Now you have it, now you know it. Then again, I'm traveling to track 3. I will go to track mute, of course, mute this one, and say that this is going to be a verse 1. And I'm ready to record it. Yeah, this one. Frankly speaking, I usually like, after recording this, I like selecting all the notes that I have, go to edit end, and just once or twice I move it to the right, so that next time when I go to the grid, I see very carefully which notes and where I have them. And I want to add a second verse, and I have my personal hierarchy of how I place tracks. So, for example, on if we have a look, like track 1 it's chorus, track 2 it's chorus 2, then verse, and I will put verse 2 like right above here, so it's track 7. And then again, one small life hack, you long press main and you press 7 and you are at track 7. This is very helpful. So this is track 7. I will say that this is verse 2. Yeah, and let's record that one. Make sure that I unmute that I mute this track. Yes, it's perfectly fine for me. And then why do I have this hierarchy? Because for me it's much easier. Why do I always put my drums on track 4? Because I know that this is a habit, like my right hand mutes and unmutes the drums where necessary. Sometimes I have the drums right here, and on pad 8, like above it, I place some percussion. And so I press it with 2 fingers and I mute and unmute when playing the track. And track mute, it's one of my favorite ways to play the track on MPCs. And to the left, I always have melodies. And if I have a bass, separate bass, which I don't have in this case because the sample already contains the melody in the bass, I would put the bass like on top. For example, chorus, bass to this chorus, chorus 2, bass to chorus 2, verse, bass to verse, and so on and so forth. And when I need to switch from chorus to verse, it's usually like this, very, very simple and easy. Again, let's talk about the effects that I have on channel mixer on the sample. And as you see right here, I will put it to solo. I will switch off the drums right here. Yeah, so if we go to channel mixer and open the effects like before. Oh, I don't really like it before. So first we have my very favorite parametric EQ, which is the basic EQ, basic with plus sign. I like it when I say it's basic because it has all the basic functionalities. And again, it's very, very convenient that I have these OLED labels right here. So like -3 point something right here, I can look at it directly, not at the screen. But may I lift this? Oh my god, this is so enormous. This is really an iPad built into this MPC. Okay, next we have a compression because it has different level volumes with like it's a light compression, about like 6 or 7 decibel compression. It's not really much. We just make the sound tighter. We make the low sounds a bit louder and louder, not as loud as they used to be. Then we have our favorite Flavor Pro, and you cannot spoil your tracks with Flavor Pro. I'm sure about it. Like before, it gives you this lo-fi old school vibe, and right here it's not a lot things going on. It's just transformer, it's just digital distortion, a little bit of vinyl, maybe too much. I need to reduce it a little. Volume nothing, timbre, I have this timbre whatsoever. And then I add another parametric EQ because I can hear that this trumpet, it really is, you know, annoying in this range, so I cut this frequency out. And then again, some people would say, okay, we're stuck in these 4 plugins. We don't have any slots for other plugins, but these people maybe have never used MPCs, because you can have a trick. For example, right here with where I have my drums, it goes to output 1 and 2. But if you look closely, this, my friends, goes to, it's really tricky sometimes, goes to sub 1, sub mix. And right here we can change it to sub mixes. Boom, it's right here. And I have stereo with one of my favorite plugins, because before it's like everywhere, and I keep it tighter. Again, I make it closer to the center because I like it more. I like this when it really hits you in the face, punches you in the face when it's in the center. Alright, on this track I'm not going to put anything on the main output because I just do not want to. I will finish my track in Logic. For now, this is a ready sketch in a good way. I'm satisfied with how it sounds because all that, like, usually I do not mix and master for real my songs on MPCs because this job needs to be done with some different mindset, with different plugins, with Apollo plugins and so on and so forth. This is different. This is like my sandbox. I'm happy with it. When I'm producing the tracks, when I'm making the tracks, I'm happy as a child, you know. I'm producing, I'm doing this and this, and when I mix and master, this is a completely different approach, completely different mindset. I'm wearing suit and tie. Yeah, I'm sitting quite seriously, listening to the speakers in perfect position, and this is not that. This is not that. Usually when I have live too, I make beats in my car, on the couch, anywhere basically, in the kitchen, not always right here. So this is it for now, and before I play the finished version of this track, not actually finished version, before I play the track as it is from MPC, I will show you this. For people who don't know if they need to buy MPC X SE and if it really has something different, let me show you this. We still have this limitation to 8 plugins. Like plugin number 1 let's go to Fabric Excel, and I will upload some plugins. But firstly, on MPC Live 2, on different one models, usually when you go to Fabric Excel, which is a very heavy plugin, it's sample based. When on my Live I change the presets, I really have to wait for the long time when it loads all the samples. And you can hear how instantly it changes. Instantly. This is very surprising for me. It takes seconds. Really second. It's surprising for me. It's as if I'm choosing the presets in Hype, because in Hype it's a very light synthesizer and it takes no resources. But then I'll add Studio Strings, which is quite heavy. And again, next preset. Yeah, it loads very quickly. And maybe organ. Yes, and maybe some more Studio Strings. Yes, we'll choose different preset. For example, this. And another plugin, another Fabric Excel, for example. Okay, we have to... Yeah, now it's slow. Again, much faster than on Live or One. And probably piano. Yes, and we are going to add another Studio Strings. Yeah, and it says low memory. So Studio Strings and Fabric Excel are very memory heavy synthesizers, and we have 8, so only 8, the limitation is right here. But this is not a big problem. Like if you really want to have more than 8 plugins in standalone, you can resample. So you make your something right here, like something really fantastic, and you go to this pencil and you press bounce to sample. And it's right here. Or you put bounce to audio track and it already appears right here. The same thing. And again, speaking of audio tracks, it's the limitation, still the limitation of 8 audio tracks. For example, if you have outboard gear, if you have Moog or something else, some other synthesizers, you will record them here, input config, in, and you record them. You have only 8 tracks. But then again, this audio is not very usable right here unless you have like synthesizers. And my advice is transferring everything that you record into audio, into MIDI programs. Yes, and right here we have, yeah, it says like a lot of memory. We will change it to something lighter like Hype, and yeah, you already see that it's much less. And now I'm ready to play this track that I created.
Deadly weapon from Italy, that'll include the Benelli, semi-water artillery, literally cryogenically treated to be invisibly. Symphonies slicker than 60 Sicilianos from Sicily. Motherfuckers talking but never gonna do shit to me. I'm about to set it on motherfuckers officially. Rip they spine out and just put them out of their misery. No more Mr. Nice Guy, everything maliciously. Who can stop me now? You would look